Hi there everybody, welcome to this week's edition of The Verdict, which will major on the action at Newmarket over the 3 days Guineas Festival. We'll have a look at the two big races, of course, on Saturday and Sunday, which threw out one spectacular winner as far as the Race IQ data is concerned, and some other interesting races for you to look at as well. Let's start with Friday then. Here are all the winners. See Just in Time taking the opening contest. Quite a slow time really for a mile and a quarter, 2 minutes 7.14. And then we had Caviar Heights in a fast time, winning the 2:25. Noble Dynasty for Godolphin took the 3 o'clock boiling point, won well. That was a good time as well for 7 furlongs. Outbox, a shock winner in the 4:10, making all the running under Holly Doyle and Volterra, taking the last. Overall, the times weren't too bad, suggesting the ground was at least good, if not slightly better, and it was to get quicker as we worked our way through the festival. Let's have a look at the Race IQ Time Index. Let me remind you what this is all about. We have a look at the race times achieved by horses on the day, and a lot of them are scored between 0 and 10. That score on the top of those peaks, so 4.45 for See Just in Time. And that is calculated by looking at historical data and finding out what we would expect from a horse in this class of race on the ground that they faced at Newmarket over the particular trips that they ran over. So you can see that See Just in Time gets a score of 4.45. You'd expect something between 5 and 6, so possibly a slowly run race. She's not quite achieved what you'd have thought she could achieve, whereas Caviar Heights, with a score of 7.54, has overachieved in the second race. And that is a good way of just seeing how races were run on the day. I'm going to start with that slowly run race, that opening contest that See Just in Time won for William Haggis, and I think she is a filly with a very bright future. Let's have a look at it then. She comes out of stall 1, Precious Jewel second from 3, and Malavelli was third from stall number 6. She was quite slowly into stride, but she's a debutant. You might expect that from stall 1, and 0 to 20 miles an hour, she was 3.55 seconds. Julia's Quest 2.56. Julia's Quest was the quickest in the race. Now visually you can tell that they're crawling along. They're going no pace at all in the early stages of this contest, and you can see very green filly in the back is See Just in Time. Not really picking up the bridle. She's travelling okay, but she was very green in the early part of this race in what was very steadily run. Finishing speed percentage recorded by Race IQ, 107.25. So she was able to go 7.25% quicker in the final 2 furlongs than she ran the rest of the race. And why do I think this is a good performance? Well, Newmarket is a track where you need to be on the pace. Normally, it's best to be making the running on the Rowley Mile, but being handy is normally very important. And it's even more important when the race is steadily run. So she's got neither of those advantages. She's nowhere near the front, she's right out the back, and she's in a steadily run race. So she's going to have to quicken and get to horses who are quickening in front of her. But she's able to do that by showing a tremendous amount of speed, still amidst greenness, and come home really strongly. She hit the line very hard, and I think that marks her out as being a very useful filly. She fires one really quick furlong. It was the penultimate furlong. When she gets going, she's able to go 11.58, much quicker than her rivals, as she quickened into the lead through that 9th furlong. Here she comes. She's still on the bridle. Everything else is under the cosh. Nothing's travelling well. And she quickens now with that 11.58 to go and take the race ahead of Precious Jewel, who could only go 11.9. That's a bit of context for you. The filly to the outside, hanging to her right, much quicker through that particular furlong. And the final 3 furlongs were interesting as well. She was 35.56, and the runner-up was 36.71. Much quicker, this filly, than the runner-up through those final 3 furlongs. And one impressive surge of speed, that 11.58. She is beautifully bred, this filly, with plenty of stamina on the downside of her pedigree, suggesting that she will stay 12 furlongs. I'm pretty sure she will, but she's got a lot of speed as well. Remember, this is a steadily run race. She quickened from the back past horses who were not stopping, horses that were quickening themselves, yet she could pull readily clear of them. I think she's very useful. She's in the Irish Oaks, she's in the Ribblesdale, and she is a top class prospect. We can sum up the race IQ data by having a look at this page. You can see our finishing speed percentage, far right-hand column, 107.25, and look at the others. They're all over 100, suggesting they were all finishing well, bar Magic Dream. All of the others finished really well, but yet she could still run them down. A very impressive performance from her, reaching a top speed of 38.97 miles per hour. I think, although this is just a maiden, she's a Group 1 filly. Let's have a look at what happened on Saturday, 2,000 Guineas Day on the Rowley Mile. We had a brilliant winner of the big race, but we had some very good supporting races as well. There were 9 in total on a bumper card. Here are the times. They were pretty quick overall. Maxi King's race was quite steadily run, but overall these times suggested we had good to firm ground. Certainly wasn't much slower than that. The notable speech time, it's a good one, 1:37.21 over a mile to take the Guineas, just 1.21 outside standards. That was a good time. And so was 7 questions as well, over 5 furlongs. Let's have a look at the race IQ time indexes just to see how these times do stack up. So you'd expect something between 5 and 6 for horses running in the particular class they were running in, over the trips they were running over. And, well, most of them were pretty good. They were almost bang there, really. The first race was a little bit steadily run, just allotted a score of 4.41, but 5.96, 5.47, bang what you would probably expect, and an average of 5.36. So we got what we would have expected, really, on quite fast ground over the trips that the horses ran over on Saturday. Going to start with Unequal Love. Let's have a look at her performance in the sunshine for a change at Newmarket. She came from stall number 7. Runner-up came from 9, and the third horse came from stall number 4. So it's a good performance from Unequal Love. She's a little bit slowly away. Bear in mind this is a sprint. You can see her there in the blue cap. So we look at the break speed just to put some data to that slowish break. Star Guest was quickest, Godolphin Blue, 2.26 seconds to 20 miles an hour. Unequal Love took 2.55 seconds to get up to 20 miles an hour. And that's going to back up one theory that I'm going to throw at you towards the end of this race, in that I think Star Guest wants to run over 5 furlongs. She's never run over 5 in her career, but quickly out of the gates in the Godolphin Blue and keen towards the 4. Unequal Love travelling quite strongly, not too far off the pace now. She's made up her ground to just track the leaders. Overall, this is an evenly run sprint. They didn't go mad and then get tired, and they didn't crawl and then sprint. It was even, finishing speed percentage of 101.28. Solid enough opening fractions, 12.39, 11.34, 11.05. So it was just a solid sprint, but the winner was so impressive because in this evenly run race, she can quicken, and she can quicken pretty sharply. Her 5th furlong, the penultimate, she's doing it now, 11.17, and that took her from 4th place to 1st place, surged her to the front. She's gone past Star Guest, who's just weakening a little bit in 2nd, perhaps backing up my theory that she perhaps wants to come back to 5 furlongs. She might just have needed the run a little bit, but I would think back in trip she could be something of a weapon, really, Star Guest. I think she's very useful. But just watch this turn of foot that this filly is able to show in the closing stages, and I think this suggests that she's better than she was last year. I think she's improved a little bit, and fast ground seems to really suit her as well. She can utilise her turn of foot on fast ground. High cadence according to the stride data as far as Star Guest is concerned. She's a fast filly. I don't think she wants to go a yard further than this. I know she's won at a mile, but she's a sprinter. Back in trip for her, but more to come from Unequal Love at this sort of trip. And the fact that she can travel this strongly and then surge in the dip, firing an 11.17 second furlong. Well, that does suggest that she's a very good sprinter, and William Haggis will certainly place her to good effect. He likes to have runners at York, and I'm sure there might be a sprint for her there this season, and that track might suit her. I think she'll handle that perfectly fine, and she runs on really willingly in the closing stages. I can put her sectionals into some sort of context by looking at what she achieved throughout the race. And at the first furlong, 14.53, well, that's a standing start, so you take off roughly 2 seconds, so 12.53. And then an 11.33, 11.10, third furlong was really quick, 11.48. Then she quickened, and the number in the brackets is the place she was in the race. So she was 4th, and then she went 11.17, and that propelled her to 1st. And then, of course, as is general, they get tired in the closing stages, and she was only 12.58 in the final furlong. But you can see there, going from 4th to 1st with an 11.17, that won her the race. Oh, I'm really looking forward to analysing the 2,000 guineas now. From Newmarket on Saturday afternoon, it looked like a race that had tremendous strength in depth, and it really didn't disappoint, although City of Troy, the favourite, did. He ran no sort of race whatsoever, very flat indeed. Let's have a look at what happened out there. There he is, notable speech from stall 6, Appleby and Buick. Second was Rosellian for Richard Hannon and Sean Levy. Third, Hartem, also Richard Hannon. James Doyle was riding. Ghostwriter was fourth from stall number 3. In terms of coming out of the stalls, Hartem was really quick. Look, he's almost in front at this point. 0 to 20 miles an hour, he was 2.41 seconds. Notable speech, slower into stride. I think that's by design by William Buick. 2.82 seconds it took him to get up to 20 miles an hour. And he sat in 16th place and last in the early part of the race. How was this race run? Well, I suggest it was strongly run. They did not mess about here at all. They went a really good gallop. City of Troy up there with Hartem. And the reason I think City of Troy is particularly disappointing, the sectional suggests he just ran for 3 furlongs and then he completely flattened out. He started to drop away. And Hartem, who's finished place in the race, he was third. He's right next to City of Troy and he kept rolling all the way to the line. So that makes City of Troy disappointing. Notable speech over on the far side. Recorded a finishing speed percentage of 96.77. So that says that in the final couple of furlongs he was slowing down. He looked like he really was quickening away from his rivals. Well, he did quicken. He quickened going into the dip and then he's got tired late on because this gallop was so searching. But what marks him out as being a really good horse is his turn of foot. He came from 11th to 1st. He flew from the back. He quickened up really well and recorded 25.11 in the final 2 furlongs. Rosellian was 25.55. There's the difference. There's the context between the two of them. And this horse has got a really high cadence. Look at his knee curl and that high cadence. He's doing more strides per second in the race than any other horse. He doesn't have a big long stride, but he's got a very high cadence, and that enables him to quicken up. This track really suiting him. It can be a track that suits horses with plenty of speed. Also suggests he might not want to necessarily go up in trip, but that high cadence, he's pedalling really fast, and then he can pedal just a bit faster and quicken. And he showed that at Kempton for his 3 wins when he came from the back of the field in slowly run races and quickened past horses who were also quickening in front of him. Here, for the first time in his life, he meets a strongly run race and he comes home just as well. He's posted a very good time figure in doing so. And I think he's going to be very hard to beat at up to a mile. I'm not sure he'll want to go further than that. He's the only horse who went under 12 seconds in the penultimate furlong, that 7th furlong. Nothing could live with him through that. And he does prick his ears just before the line, suggesting there might have been a little bit there. But given the way he finished, I suspect there wasn't all that much left in the tank. But there doesn't need to be, because he was just so impressive. He's a really good horse. He flashed that speed that he showed here at Newmarket at Kempton, and he was able to do it in a much better race. There's a summary of what he achieved. You can see the finishing speed percentage, 96.77. No horse in the race finished particularly strongly, and you can see that his fastest furlong was the 3rd furlong. They seemed to whiz through that 3rd furlong on the Rowley Mile, and he reached a speed of over 40 miles an hour. He's a brilliant winner of the Guineas. Rosellian, he looks like a really nice horse as well. Not quite sure where they're going to go with him. There's possibly a round mile might suit him, or back to 7. He showed lots of speed. He's got a high cruising speed. And I thought the 3rd horse ran an absolute blinder. Only horse to finish quite strongly, having been up with that fierce pace in the early part of the race. So some interesting data in behind the winner, a brilliant winner of the Guineas. Well, it'll be hard to cap what notable speech achieved on Saturday at Newmarket, but we'll give it a go by looking at what happened on Sunday, 1,000 Guineas Day. And we saw some really good performances. A Friendly Soul took the opening contest. On ground, I think that was a little bit quicker on the Sunday than it had been on the Saturday. Stay Alert winning the 2nd race. That was a quick time, 1:50.23 for 9 furlongs. Bagdoor, then the Guineas. El Malka, that's a fast time, 1:37.05 over a mile, just 1.05 outside standard. Mountain Breeze, a really nice 2-year-old, have a look at him later. The Actor, a nice 2-year-old from the Richard Hannon team on his 2nd start winning. And Black Run took the last quite impressively, actually. So let's have a look at the Race IQ Time Index for this and just see what scores these horses have got. Did they overachieve? Did they underperform? Well, the horse that won the opening contest did overachieve a little bit, but by and large, it's what we would have expected from horses on fast ground running in the class that they were running over the trips that they were running, the average being for the day 5.89. We expect between a 5 and 6 to be the score. So most races on 1,000 Guineas Day will run at pretty decent gallops. Start with a Pretty Polly, shall we? This is a very interesting race. It features Kalpana, who made the verdict when she won last time up at Newmarket. She absolutely bolted up by 10 lengths in a handicap, and she was stepped up into this listed race, but she couldn't quite cut it against the John Gosden-trained Friendly Soul. So let's send them on the way, up the Rowley Mile. Friendly Soul from 4, Kalpana from 2, Kittredge from 7 and Strutting from 8. There your 4 home. Kittredge and Strutting towards this stand side, numbers 5 and 7. And the principals are over on the far side, Friendly Soul and Kalpana. And Kalpana throughout the race, tracking Friendly Soul, who Kieran Schumacher's quite aggressive on here. He wanted to take a sit, I think, and now he's decided to go forward. And in a moment, he will go to the lead. Kalpana, always in a good stalking position. And there's the third horse this side. Kittredge was a bit too keen in the early part of the race. Quite a strongly run contest. Kieran Schumacher didn't mess about, but I wouldn't say it was overly strong. I said it was probably even with a finishing speed percentage of 99.75. And he took them along through the following fractions. The second furlong, 11.94. The third, 11.78. And the fourth, 11.72. So he's going along nice and evenly out in front. And that suits Kalpana, because when she won here last time in a handicap, she didn't really quicken, but she just kept on pounding out the sectionals. She kept the same speed from 4 out to the line, and she does the same here. And you'll see that she can't quite quicken and get past the winner, but she's put up a much improved effort in second place, picking up black type, and she'll be handy over further, I think. She just keeps rolling, Kalpana, up to a mile and a half. If they supplemented her for the Oaks, she might be an interesting outsider in that. This wasn't a cruise and quicken performance. Schumacher's not messed about. He's gone an even gallop, and the winner has just kept going. 9th furlong, the winner went 12.09. Kalpana went 12.22. They're dominating this race now. Kalpana just can't get past. She doesn't quicken. She's a galloper, and the winner's a galloper too, but the winner had the advantage of being in front, had a length or so advantage throughout the race, and Kalpana can't run her down. Final furlong splits. Friendly Soul, 13.05, and Kalpana, she's a strong stayer. She's faster. Look at this. She's closing her down, 12.94. She's just keeping going, Kalpana. She's just churning out those sectionals, but she afforded the winner a bit of an advantage, and she couldn't peg her back. I think they're both pretty useful. They'll both need supplementing if they go for the Oaks, and I'm not necessarily sure that Friendly Soul would stay the Oaks trip. She might. She's by Kingman, out of a mare who stayed 10 furlongs, so they might throw the dice and have a crack at the Oaks. Stride data is interesting. Race IQ producing stride data now. It's well worth noting that Friendly Soul stride length was 7.41 metres, Kalpana 7.29. Got a big, long stride, this winner. The stride of a stayer, not necessarily the pedigree of a stayer, but that might influence Connections to have a go at a mile and a half. This sums everything up nicely. Look at that final time. That's a really good time, 2 minutes 3.22. If you go even 12 seconds over 10 furlongs, you get bang on 2 minutes. So this is why this is a good even ride from Kieran Schumacher. 99.75% out in front. When horses are rated evenly in front, they are really hard to run down because she wasn't necessarily stopping. You can see there that Kalpana tried in vain, beating a length and a quarter in the end, but that encouraging final furlong from her when she was running the winner down promises more when she is stepped up in trip. 2 nice fillies. OK, let's try and unpick the 1,000 guineas from Sunday at Newmarket. It will take some unpicking as well. It was a fantastic horse race. Imalka winning the contest in the end for the Roger Varian team, and what a day for Sylvester de Sousa trying to rebuild his career back in the UK. And she came from last to first, the winner, and by and large because she was quite slowly out of the gates compared to the other 3 that filled those positions. Let's have a look at their stalls. 16 for the winner. You've got the second coming from 15. I'll touch on this again later. The third coming from stall 11. Interesting that they were all drawn high. So let's send them on their way and see how this race develops. Firstly, I think it's fair to say that it was run at a pretty good gallop. Star Style took them along, and Ramatuelle is quite handy. Big white face towards the stand side. Look at the winner in last, and Green not really picking up the bridle. She's right out the back at this part of the race, and I think she does really well to win. Part of the reason she's able to win is that this is a very strongly run 1,000 guineas. The finishing speed percentage under 100. It was recorded as 98.57, meaning that the winner was slowing down despite the fact that she came with a surge. That's because everything else was getting tired around her, and she was slowing down less than everything else. Now, there's lots to pick out here. You need to keep your eye on Tamfana, white body, green cap. She gets all sorts of trouble in running, and she probably should have won. And the other point to look at is Ramatuelle. What happened with Ramatuelle? Now, it was said that Ramatuelle's jockey went too soon. From about this point, that he kicked too soon. There's the winner beginning to make ground. Now, it's a very plausible theory to say that he kicked too soon, but I'm going to put the counter argument here. He was there towards the 4, horses were tiring around him, they fell away, he found himself in front, and then when you look at the sectionals, you'll see that Imalka and Porta Fortuna, who finished second, went quicker than Ramatuelle through the third last and the second last furlongs. So it wasn't like Ramatuelle was there at the 4, his jockey kicked too soon, she went 10.6 and then paid for that late on. It's that the horses fell away around her. And yes, he might have gone a bit too soon. He might have been able to count to 10 and sit a little bit longer, but she didn't surge to the front. She didn't run as fast as the winner, Imalka, who's under quite strong pressure at the back when Aurélien Lemaitre kicks on the French filly. So I'm inclined to say that perhaps it was more relevant that she sat really close to a strong pace and then didn't quite get home. That would be my theory. It's perfectly plausible to suggest the jockey went a bit too soon, but that's not really what the sectionals suggest. I think he was just too close to a strong gallop on a fast filly who didn't quite get home, and I think she wants to come back in trip. Imalka, green, and she won despite that greenness, coming home really well, but she probably wouldn't have won if Jamie Spencer had got out on Tamfana a little bit earlier. She comes home really quickly. She was the fastest final 2 furlongs in the race. 24.56 for Tamfana, 24.61 for the winner. She probably should have got up and won. This is why Sylvester de Souza found himself out the back on the winner, Imalka, in the early part of the race. This is how quickly they came out of the stalls. This is them getting up to 20 miles an hour. 2.97 seconds for Imalka. Porta Fortuna, 2.56. Ramatuelle, quicker, 2.43. She's a fast filly. And Tamfana, 2.63. The other point I'd just like to make is about the draw. 16 beat 15, beat 11. Then Tamfana from 4, but she cut across and raced stand side. And then Ylang from 12. All high drawn. Those that raced closest to the stand side were those that got involved in the finish. Just a point of interest for you to think about. Here are the details of the race. It's quite a slow finish in the closing stages, but you can see there from Imalka's finish, that 24.81, you can see Tamfana quicker. Tamfana surging home. And look at the numbers in brackets. Look where the winner came from. 16th place, then edged into 15th, then quickened to get into 6th, and then just kept rolling and got to the front in the dying strides. But the figure suggesting that Tamfana was possibly a little bit unlucky. And if you go to sort of 3 furlongs out and look at Ramatuelle, well, she's not any quicker than Porta Fortuna. She's not much quicker than Imalka. They're running at the same sort of speed. So to suggest that she surged to the front and kicked clear too soon, that's really not right according to the data. I've picked out a smart debut performance from a Godolphin 2-year-old filly to have a look at finally here on the verdict. And the filly's name, Mountain Breeze. She won on Sunday. She beat River Seine and Miss Calada. Let's have a look at what happened in this particular contest and why I think she is worth following. Stall 3 was where she came from. River Seine came from 1, and Miss Colada came from stall number 4. So, a really smart debut performance, I think, in what was an evenly run contest. Finishes speed percentage for the winner was 103.24, and she really did get going in the final furlong. She's got the red cap in the Godolphin blue, and she did come home very strongly indeed to see off this field, and it suggests that maybe another furlong will suit her going forward, and that going forward will surely involve Royal Ascot. Now, which race they go for, I don't know. Albany is a possibility, you'd have thought. She was a little bit green, she's a little bit all over the place, but she did quicken very, very smartly. Her final 2 furlongs were 23.31, which was 0.63 seconds quicker than the runner-up. Now, on fast ground, that equates to 3 3/4 lengths. So in just 2 furlongs, she's 3 3/4 lengths better than the runner-up, and that's because she's got a sharp turn of foot. And that was in the penultimate furlong. She's doing it now, 11.18 seconds, and that took her clear of the field. Nothing could quicken that sharply. And she took a while to pull up as well after crossing the line. She's a nice filly. She's big, she's strong, and she's got a real turn of foot, because I don't think on debut you see many horses able to quicken in the manner that she did, able to run an 11.18 second furlong, quicken up and go clear of her field. And I think there could be a fair bit more to come from her, and I'd be pretty keen on her going forward to Royal Ascot. She might not win that, but I think she's sure to run really well. She's closely related to the Pinatubo family, one that Charlie Appleby knows well, of course. And there's some 10 furlong stamina on the damn side of her pedigree, so she'll definitely stay 6, I think, for now. Let's just have a look at that surge, that furlong. There you go, 4th furlong, so go along the top to 4F, and underneath you've got that sectional that she fired. It's 11.18. She did it when she was in 2nd place, the figure in the bracket, and that surged her to the front, and nothing could live with her. You can see the other 2 principals in behind, 11.31 and 11.22, when she went 11.18. They're by no means going slowly, but she's just much quicker than them, and she's flown home the final couple of furlongs, 23.31 against 23.94. That's a pretty big margin for 2-year-olds over this trip. Yeah, I think she could head to Royal Ascot. She's a very nice 2-year-old filly for Charlie Appleby, who had a brilliant Guineas weekend, it's to be fair to say, with notable speech, a superb winner, I think above average winner of the 2,000 Guineas. His turn of foot is absolutely lightning, and one for the future. See just in time. I think she's a Group 1 filly in the making. Hope you enjoyed this edition of The Verdict. I'll see you next week.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.